So call it $22,000, overheads taken care of. We pay that $22,000 back over the 5 years. Whilst that's being done, you're getting a 20% lease payment, so you're getting 20% of the revenue. So it takes us a bit longer than the 5 years. It takes us maybe 7 years, because now we're only applying 80% of the revenue to the debt service, as much as we're giving you the 20%. Once that's paid back, you get the balance. Again, less, maybe a nominal operating cost to ORES.
There's no private company is going to do it for free. But there's no down payment.
The real advantage is this is your company doing this for you. We're not siphoning off a profit percentage to some other entity. Any profit that's made accrues to you.
I don't know. Would you give it if you were contracting? That's all I'm thinking.
Yeah, if you employed another company, they're going to take a profit, and they're going to keep that profit for themselves. Any profit we make is your profit.
Is there, within the system, a way of achieving Councillor Jackson's question? Can you break it down to whatever and bring it back to us? And if it's can't be spread,
I understand the question. I'm prepared to go away and come back with a kind of a spreadsheet, if you like, explaining how this would actually
the entire breakdown. So therefore, when you come back, because you're a corporation, if we need to do it in camera, that's quite all right for it to be done in camera, because we are shareholders. We can do that so that you're not giving out any of your business information. I'm quite sure that's a legal thing of doing. So that'll be the question right now is, you already said you will do that, so that's great. So we've achieved that part. That'll come back to us. Sooner than later is the request.
Well, I guess the question is what's the time frame for this agreement to be signed? Does it need to be signed before the end of the year?
Preferably, yeah.
Preferably, but does it require to be signed? What are the implications if it's not signed by the end of the year?
We can't proceed on any project. Once we have secured the contracts, we have 180 days to build them. So somebody has to sign first. Somebody's got to get going. We can't do 100 projects in the last week because we left the lease until the last minute.
Yes, it can be done in the new year.
Preferably not, but it can be.
Yeah.
Can you define why it's preferable?
Well, as you just said, because there's a list of people and we would be on the list where we fall into signing.
Right. So is it a rate issue with the return?
Yes, absolutely. We'll lose the rate.
Well, you've already lost this year's rate.
So then
because we haven't managed to apply for the projects.
Right. So there's no issue as if it needs to be done.
Oh, I thought we had this year's project.
We pushed as hard as we could go. We had to get titles transferred. That is still ongoing. That's still being registered with the land registry. We can't do anything until they've confirmed the change in title, which is a 2-week process.
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
This was all outlined, I think, in Bernie's report to council beginning of this month.
Sorry, go ahead, Councillor Umstead.
So the projections that we previously received was based on 2015 rates.
Correct.
Does that significantly change the revenues that we expect now?
It changes a little, Councillor Olmsted. We haven't over-egged the revenues to start with. So when I say use the $40,000 figure, we're probably actually at $45,000, $46,000. We didn't overstate our position. This year's rate, or 2016 year's rate, goes down 25%. So we probably, the net losses, we gain 15%, lose 25%. So there'll be a drop of about 10%. I would ask you to look at that as not a loss. All you do is more projects.
So
if you have a fixed revenue value in mind, you want to make $100,000, it's either 25 projects at $4,000 or it's...
So I personally need to understand this a little bit better before I'm prepared to move forward on it.
I'm going to get Hope to speak.
I believe we were notified on November 26th in regards to the title changes, which I forwarded to our lawyer immediately. And we were supposed to provide to you a notification that it was being undertaken, which I did within the time frame that was needed to be done before December 31st.
That was achieved by December the 10th.
So that met the 2-week deadline, did it not?
No, the 2 weeks starts from December the 10th, when the properties were registered. They were registered on December the 10th.
But then you had until December 31st, I thought.
Yeah, the way it works is the lawyer changes the title. No, does whatever he does with the land registry. The land registry then spend 2 weeks confirming the change of information. They parcel this out to sundry assorted land registry offices in the province to check what lawyers have done. They've changed some information on the land registry. This has to be confirmed. That takes 2 weeks. So
That still falls within
that is
December.
December the 24th comes around, we will fire applications in if they're Ottawa River Power things, within a week, we might still make it.
But that's what we were assuming, that we had the time frame in there.
Too late.
So, when the 2 weeks is up, excuse me, and you're notified that that's a go, then we should still be within this program.
We can then make the microfit application.
Right, and it's all ready to go?
That takes a week.
Yeah, but we did all the other things so that you could have that shovel ready to go as soon as this was all approved. All of the land, and that was our understanding, is that you'd be right there ready to submit.
We did.
Okay, so then we should have this, right?
Not by the end of the year. I wouldn't get hung up on this. This isn't the issue. It'd be nice to have had this year's rate. We could have done 20 projects at $5,000 a year versus next year 25 projects at $4,000 a year. Look at the total revenue. That's what you're interested in.
I think the timeline is when you got the titles, they need 10 days to get that done. Then the applications are completed. Then it goes to another section, and they could take past the 31st of December. So there's no guarantees it's going to get done.
Okay, but we still could get it.
We will do it. The minute we are able to move the thing along, we are moving it along. It's still a maybe.
Okay. So,
Forget there's 2 statutory holidays in that too. There's 3.
Yeah.
So that's gonna hold you.
Really, the way to look at this is total revenue. Again, I say, if we're doing 20 projects at $5,000 a year, that makes $100,000 a year. If the revenue rate goes down, so we're now not making $5,000 a year per project, we're only making $4,000 a year, you do another 5 projects to build your revenue back up to where you want to see it. The rate doesn't really matter. It would be nice to get this year's rate, for sure. That's not the end of the world if we don't.
Councilmember Rigger?
I was under the understanding that if we went through all these loopholes, we would get that rate. And our staff in the last 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks, and I've seen the emails flying around here, dealing with lawyers, dealing with this, doing that, trying to get all of this together, and now we're being told that even though we've done everything on our end, we may not get that 2015 rate. I'm really confused. Actually, this whole conversation has been very confusing for me. I'm sorry. And when we started this out, I was under the understanding that we were going to look at this in the new year. And all of a sudden it came in and we had to start doing this, and this. And our staff was jumping hoops, and I'm sure, Christine, you can relate to that. And if we aren't going to get that 2015 rate, then why did we go through this? Why was there this urgency, I guess is my question.
I think when we started out, we weren't expecting to run into those problems with the title changes. We slowed down the process a little bit. We didn't know that they were wrong, and that delayed us, and we had to move on that. Then, like I explained before, once the lawyer's done with it, it takes another 10 days to get to the land registry office.
I get all that. So at this point in time, there's no longer an urgency. If we can deal with this in the new year.
You could do, yes.
We're not going to
Yeah, no,
we're not going to gain anything.
You're right. There was a push to try and get in under the wire this year.
We tried. Didn't work.
As Bernie has said, we weren't aware that there was the leftover of the amalgamation where there were different names for different things, and when you apply for these contracts, both documents have to say the same thing. If we're applying for the municipality, the township of Whitewater region, then the property has to say that too. We found that out, and we found that out in all 4 municipal cases. So that did account for a certain delay in there. Yeah, but to answer your question, Councillor Reagan, yes, there is no immediate urgency now. We did what we could. We tried to rush it through. We may still get some. Some may still go through. I think that most of them, particularly when we're dealing with Hydro One, that is out of our control, so that would take further time. But yes, we could deal with this in next year. Take a bit more time.
So at
In terms of total revenue, we can quite easily go ahead with 2016 contract price. Yes, it's less than this year, but we just do more projects.
So at this point in time, we do not have to enter an agreement tonight with you people, as is on here as a bylaw, correct?
No, you don't have to.
Thank
Correct.
you. There is no urgency to enter into that agreement as there was a week ago.
Correct.
Thank you.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Well, I'm much like Councillor Reager, because I remember the last time you were here, and you told us, and we agreed to the agreement, and that locked, in my mind, that had locked us into this year's, the 2015 prices, the costs.
Yeah,
and
well,
now,
there was no
urgencies at that time, just that we could go ahead in the new year. It didn't seem to make any difference as long as we had agreed to it, and I'm sure that's what you said the last time. I can go back and verify.
No,
And now we're saying no, so I'm much like Councillor Reager.
There was a process that we outlined, was tight when we outlined it. Everything had to go exactly right. We weren't aware of the requirement to change these titles until that was pointed out, so that did delay it. That has in fact kicked it to the deadline. We tried to secure this year's rate. It would have been nice to have this year's rate. Now that we likely won't, it doesn't really change things. We can discuss this at your leisure next year, and we could continue next year.
Yep. It's okay. Here's what I'm hearing or seeing or whatever is that should everything come through and we get the 2015 rate just by a miracle, then we can then catch up right away with signing this agreement. Otherwise, we can just get our sea legs under us and move forward, as it's not going to be a time-sensitive issue at that point, right?
Correct.
So why don't we do that? We'll table this, and then OERS gets back to us. Should you be successful, get back to us right away, and if need be, we can convene or do whatever it takes to do it at that point.
We will continue moving this thing as fast as is time that is left. We'll either be successful with the applications or we won't.
You need this agreement signed before you can file.
There's nothing council has to do right now.
That's right.
At all.
To my understanding,
The process
we have already
underway.
signed the one that is going to get us through.
We can make applications this year for your behalf. If we are successful in getting this year's rate, great. If we miss the deadline and we don't, then the contract awards come out next year. As the Mayor suggested, that would be the time then to continue this discussion on the lease when we know what projects we do in fact have.
Right. And by the same token, we have signed the proposal. The original proposal allowed you to go ahead and make application on our behalf, or your behalf. So if that comes through to that point, we still can sign this lease agreement in time to go forward.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the lease, I recommend after this discussion that let ORES continue to get these contracts for you, whether it's a 2015 rate or a 2016
yes,
rate.
That's what my understanding is.
I can come back and inform Christine, we have 10 projects, we have contracts for each one of those. That's all done and dusted.
Now we get an
then
agreement.
Then will be the time to
get the agreement.
Put the lease and an agreement in place.
Yes, because that will then let you have time to do the installations in the proper amount of days.
Yeah, the 180 days applies from when we receive the verification of the contract.
Christine.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And in that time frame, then, we've gone round, I just want to solidify this. You folks carry on, the rates land where they land once the paperwork goes through. Depending on if it was the 2015 or 16 rate secured per project, we would be provided by ORES with an annual schedule of revenue for each of the 10 projects that could then be reviewed prior to a lease or a management agreement being signed.
Net yeah, it all broke down as we discussed.
Correct.
So,
Okay.
so that, is that clear to
Yep.
everyone? Clear as mud? Okay.
Okay. And we will have to do it a little quicker if we get the 2015 rate. That's all I was saying. But maybe we don't have to do it quicker.
Hindsight being what it is, if we'd started earlier in the year, we wouldn't have run up against quite so many hurdles all at the last minute. We did. That's what's happened now, so I concur with what Christine has just outlined.
Okay, perfect. All right. So, thank you. That will conclude that particular part, because we'll throw this to the table, come back after we find out that, and move forward on it then.
But
Okay?
I just want to repeat the fact
Okay.
about the revenue accruing to the municipality for projects within the municipal region, and not a proportionate share of it.
Yep. Yeah, we understand that, yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. Yep, both of them, because they are, one is with the other. I guess we can't, but we're gonna just vote on this. We removed the last two from the no, we just have to vote on it. I just went through them all. The bylaws. We've discussed every one. We've tabled the last two. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Council.
All those in favor of tabling the last two items on this, which are OARS lease agreement, OAR project management services agreement. All those in favor? 10-4, carried. We're gonna have a short break.